When Diana became Princess Diana, the world expected a fairy tale, but she lived under relentless scrutiny. In her final months, the pressure was merciless. Yet not every photo of her was released. Some have been locked away by the royals for decades. What made these images so controversial? Here are 15 forbidden photos of Lady Diana the public has never seen until now. First day at school. When it comes to the royals, nothing is ever quite what it seems, and 1995 was no exception. September 6th looked like any ordinary first day of school. But if ordinary ever involved the heir to the throne, a swarm of photographers, and a princess quietly rewriting royal history, then this was it. 13-year-old Prince William was stepping into Eton College for the very first time, with his little brother Harry tagging along at 10. Standing just beside them was Diana, looking warm, calm, and like every other mom dropping her kids off, though anyone who knew better could tell this moment was anything but ordinary. Here's the twist hidden in that photograph. William's enrollment at Eton wasn't just a school choice. It was a royal curveball. Traditionally, princes attended Gordonstoun in Scotland, the very school that had both shaped and scarred Charles and Prince Philip. But Diana refused to follow tradition. She picked Eton instead. Closer to home, closer to her family's way of doing things. And, let's be honest, a little closer to what could pass for normal life. At least, as normal as life could get for the heir to the throne. The photograph may look simple at first glance, but it tells a deeper story. A quiet act of rebellion. A mother carving out a grounding for her children that the crown could never provide. And if Eton hinted at Diana's determination to shape her children's world, a single photograph, thousands of miles away, would capture the stark reality of her own.
Lady Diana Spencer was never there. There were always suitors around Prince Charles.
1 is the loneliest number. On February 11th, 1992, Princess Diana appeared at the Taj Mahal, the ultimate monument to love, looking every inch the fairy tale princess. Only there was a catch. She was alone, sitting quietly on a marble bench. And the story behind this now iconic photo is anything but fairy tale. Prince Charles was nowhere to be seen, reportedly tied up with business affairs in Delhi. The irony was impossible to ignore. Just a few years earlier, Charles had gushed to photographers about wanting to bring the woman he loves to the Taj Mahal. Clearly, that woman wasn't Diana. There she was, perched on the marble bench that would soon earn the nickname Lady Di's Chair, facing the white marble masterpiece built as a forever tribute to devotion alone. The paparazzi were relentless. Cameras clicked like machine guns, each photographer chasing their payday. When reporters asked how it felt, Diana called it a fascinating experience, very healing. When they pressed further, she dropped the now legendary line, "Work it out for yourself." Just 5 words, but they spoke volumes, revealing exactly what the world needed to know. This wasn't just a photo. It was a postcard from a marriage on life support. Sources later admitted that Diana knew which way the story would go and used the image to express what words couldn't. Within months of that shot, the royal separation was official. That kiss. On July 29, 1981, Diana was just 20, fresh from her nursery teaching job, and she took that impossibly long walk down the aisle at St. Paul's Cathedral, trading a quiet life for one under relentless scrutiny. Nearly 750 million people watched from their TVs, while another 600,000 packed London streets to witness a once-in-a-lifetime spectacle. When she took her vows, it was perfectly imperfect. Diana stumbled over her full name, a tiny misstep in a day of grand gestures. The wedding itself was unforgettable, though cracks were already showing. Charles even forgot the altar kiss. No amount of silk or ceremony
I had an end chair
could hide that behind the fairy tale. A quiet unraveling had already begun. To save appearances, the newly minted Prince and Princess of Wales stepped onto the balcony to deafening cheers. Charles glanced at Diana and finally leaned in for the kiss That single smooch shattered a century of royal reserve and, according to historians, started a tradition that still thrives today. Here's the kicker, though. The kiss wasn't planned. Someone off camera had shouted, "Give her a kiss," and Charles obliged. Spontaneous, picture perfect, and just enough to sell the dream. Years later, lip readers spilled the behind-the-scenes tea. The Queen told Diana, "Look at the people who've been there all day to see you," and Charles murmured, "You look perfect," before taking her hand and sealing that balcony moment. Even the night before, he had sent a note with a signet ring. "I'm so proud of you. Just look 'em in the eye and knock 'em dead." Even amid the grandeur of a royal wedding, Diana's life was already a tightrope between public perfection and private reality.
Jamie, he loves his koala bear he's got.
The balcony kiss, though spontaneous, picture-perfect, showed she could charm the world. But behind every smile, the weight of expectation never lifted. A few years later, that same world would watch as she faced one of life's most tender, revealing moments, welcoming a new baby into her arms. Welcoming baby number 2. The doors of St. Mary's Hospital swung open on September 16, 1984, and there she was, Princess Diana, wearing the now iconic red coat, cradling newborn Prince Harry. Charles stood beside her, the three of them stepping straight into the world's gaze. This wasn't just a proud family moment, it was the official unveiling. The instant the curtain between private life and public spectacle was yanked wide open. Harry had arrived only the day before, born in the same Lindo wing where William had made his debut 2 years earlier. But this time, there was no waiting. Within 24 hours, Diana was on those steps, baby in arms and smiling. What made the moment unforgettable was how Diana carried it. That red coat wasn't just a fashion choice. It was a statement, a declaration of strength. She didn't shy away from the fatigue. If anything, she faced it head-on, showing the world a mother who could be vulnerable. Meeting a saint. On June 18, 1997, the cameras thought they knew what to expect from Diana. But Diana, as always, had other plans. While the press anticipated another charity visit, another handshake for the cameras, that wasn't what happened. Instead, she went to the Missionaries of Charity in the Bronx, where a frail Mother Teresa awaited. There was no staged photo op, just two women greeting each other like old friends. Diana's bond with Mother Teresa had been years in the making. Back in 1992, she had traveled to Rome determined to meet the nun, even after a planned visit to Calcutta was cancelled due to Mother Teresa's illness. Inside a small room at the convent, they spoke for nearly half an hour before slipping quietly into the chapel together. Both barefoot black pumps resting beside worn sandals, they shared a moment of equality, humility, and devotion, completely unphotographed. Diana later described it as a spiritual awakening, a moment that helped her weather her already shaky marriage. Fast forward to that summer day in 1997.
Can turn the nourishment of the body into a painful attack on themselves.
Diana had just left Washington after meeting President Clinton, yet she made out time to visit Mother Teresa. The two embraced, prayed together, and according to some witnesses, Mother Teresa blessed her. Others remember seeing them walk hand in hand. The visit lasted barely 40 minutes, yet the image from that day lingers, a reminder that Lady Diana was not just a princess, but a deeply spiritual woman. Beauty in a bow tie. Though no one can quite pin down the exact date of this shot, the picture radiates pure early 80s magic. It's that kind of candid street-style moment that proves Diana didn't just follow trends, she set them, long before the world even had the words for them. Forget tiaras and royal ball gowns. Here she's in oversized vintage sweatshirts, slouchy varsity knits and baseball caps, basically inventing athleisure decades before it was a thing. The kind of look that would dominate street-style blogs today? Yeah, she nailed it back then. And then there was that sweater, the legendary black sheep jumper, a sea of white woolly sheep interrupted by one lone black one. Fashion historians love to dissect it, but in that moment, it was Diana's ultimate mic drop. Without saying a word, she made it clear she knew she was different, and she wasn't afraid to wear that truth boldly across her chest. Her style, wasn't just about clothes. It was a way to signal who she was, who she wasn't, and exactly how she wanted the world to see her. And just as effortlessly as she walked the streets of London in oversized knits, she could
Well, the cracks in their relationship, I think they began to show very quickly.
step into a room of children in a green suit and command attention in an entirely different way. Suit up. When Princess Diana arrived at the Thomas Coram Foundation Homeless Children Project in Camden, London, she immediately turned heads. She wore a green tailored suit, designed by none other than Catherine Walker, her go-to designer behind some of her most iconic looks. But this outfit wasn't about flaunting for the cameras. This was Diana on the job, stepping into a place filled with vulnerable children, choosing a look that spoke before she did. The green of the suit radiated warmth and approachability, while the black collar showed authority. This isn't the image that graced tabloid covers. It doesn't compete with the wedding gown or the so-called revenge dress. Yet it deserves its place in the conversation because it captures a side of Diana the world rarely got to see. The side who wielded style as a form of power, not spectacle. Beach time, April 11th, 1990. We saw a different side of Diana. Diana, her boys, and a few cousins escaped to Necker Island, Richard Branson's private Caribbean playground. The beach was one of the rare corners of the world where the family could find the peace and quiet that Buckingham Palace rarely allowed. By this point, the cracks in her marriage were already widening. But Necker wasn't just a holiday. It was Diana's way of giving her children memories that would last a lifetime. That day on the golden sand, the game was simple. With shovels in hand, the kids decided to bury their mother right there. Diana didn't just play along, she leaned in, laughing, fully immersed, having the time of her life. The photo didn't merely capture the scene, it froze the moment forever. For a little while, she wasn't Her Royal Highness. She was just Mum. And in that single frame you see it all, the joy, the mischief, and the woman who never let the crown crush the human underneath. Colorful at Cannes. In May 1987, Diana set foot on the Cannes red carpet for the only time, and she did it like she had been born for that staircase. She and Prince Charles were in town for just 10 hours, dropping in for the festival's 40th anniversary to wave the flag for British cinema. 10 hours wasn't nearly enough to soak in the magic of the night, but Diana didn't need time. She only needed a single moment, and she owned it. She arrived in a strapless, ice blue tulle gown by Catherine Walker, with a chiffon scarf draped around her neck. The design was a clear nod to Grace Kelly's ethereal gown in
Enormous emotional, moral, and spiritual issues that transcend the physical disease.
To Catch a Thief. Grace had once taken a young, overwhelmed Diana aside, offering advice on surviving the crown. So this tulle gown was more than fabric. It was a link between two women who had taken on impossible roles. Diana had a way of owning the spotlight, whether she was stepping onto the Cannes red carpet. One moment, she could be a vision of ethereal Grace, channeling Grace Kelly, and the next, she could be a human, simply falling asleep during an important event. Sleepy Royal. On November 4th, 1981, Diana was still the brand-new Princess of Wales, stepping into rooms where every eye followed her. That evening, she floated in, wearing a pale blue floral chiffon gown by Belleville Sassoon, delicate, romantic, and straight out of a fairy tale. But then came an unexpected moment. As the event stretched on, her eyelids began to betray her.
For breath at every turn.
A tiny dip of her head, and she was asleep, captured forever in photographs. Diana, the people's princess, dozing quietly in her seat. When the pictures surfaced, the public dubbed her Sleeping Beauty.
And I also offer my support to everyone who helps them in this task.
Some questioned why the princess would fall asleep at such an important event, assuming boredom. Buckingham Palace was quick to clarify. Diana had dozed off because she was tired, well into the early weeks of her first pregnancy with Prince William. In that moment, she wasn't bored. Her body was simply calling for a much-needed rest. The Angola Visit. The year was 1997 when Princess Diana visited Angola as a guest of the International Red Cross. The nation was experiencing a brief, fragile period of peace after a civil war that had raged for 2 decades. Tragically, the conflict would reignite in 1998 and continue for another 4 years. The war had left Angola contaminated with over 15 million landmines, hidden, deadly remnants scattered near towns and villages.
That such pronouncements are purely an exaggeration.
They caused devastating civilian casualties and blocked any hope of recovery. At the time of Diana's visit, 1 in every 330 people in Angola had lost a limb. There couldn't be a more appropriate place to begin this campaign than Angola, because this nation has a higher number of amputees per population than anywhere in the world, she told the journalists who had flocked to the airport to see her. Stepping onto a cleared path through a minefield, Diana walked alongside mine removal expert Paul Heslop from the Halo Trust, an organization dedicated to clearing landmines. Heslop later admitted to the BBC that his mind was racing, trying to ensure Princess Diana's safety with every step. The walk wasn't just symbolic. It was a direct challenge to governments to stop ignoring the suffering caused by these weapons, a bold call for international action to get rid of landmines. Diana's advocacy proved resourceful, mobilizing public opinion in support of a global ban and pressuring diplomats to act on demining efforts. But just as Diana could command attention in the most dangerous and high-stakes arenas, she could also appear where no one expected her, effortlessly bridging worlds that rarely met. A-list meeting. That snapshot, Diana, in a yellow and navy halter dress, standing in front of Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman at the Far and Away premiere, still feels like a cheeky glitch in time. It's more than just a red carpet photo. It's one of those rare, almost forbidden moments where the worlds of royalty and movie stars collided. The date was July 30th, 1992. Leicester Square's Empire Cinema buzzed with excitement for the London premiere of Far and Away. Cruise and Kidman were at the peak of their fame, riding the wave of an epic Western romance they had showcased at Cannes earlier that year. Then, unannounced, Diana appeared, stunning in her Catherine Walker halter neck dress of yellow and navy. Diana wasn't there to make headlines. She went because she genuinely loved cinema. Meeting Cruise and Kidman wasn't just a highlight for her, it was a highlight for them too. One frame captured it all: the glances, the smiles, the effortless ease.
Moral and spiritual issues that transcend the physical disease.
It was a photograph so perfect, so unexpected, it feels almost too good to have ever been allowed. But for every photograph that made headlines, there were dozens that captured Diana in moments the world wasn't meant to see. Moments raw, tender, and entirely human. Her final vacation. In July 1997 in Saint-Tropez, Diana was chasing a rare moment of normalcy during one of her last summers, floating on the Jonquil yacht with her boys, Prince William and Prince Harry. She was just a mother laughing with her children, sun bouncing off the water, knees dangling over the deck, fully present in the moment. This was her world, fleeting, fragile, and entirely her own.
Who I often see, and in spite of what Miss France...
The trip wasn't a spontaneous getaway. Mohammed Al Fayed had invited her to his villa and yacht days on the Côte d'Azur, and Diana accepted, bringing Harry and William along. It was an escape from the stiffness of palace life, a chance to let herself sink into sunlight, salt air, and simple joy. It was on this trip that Diana met Dodi Fayed, her soon-to-be lover. A single photo from that day captures more than a princess smiling on a yacht. It reveals the vulnerable woman behind the headlines, the woman who just wanted to be loved in return. Revenge is an LBD. The evening of June 29, 1994 will forever be seared into memory. Diana had arrived at a gala at London's Serpentine Gallery in a black, off-the-shoulder evening gown by Christina Stambolian. Her look was more than fashion. It was a statement, a middle finger to the royal family. On that very night, Prince Charles admitted on national television that he had been unfaithful, confirming his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. Diana's choice of dress was a calculated, unspoken response that changed everything. Before the now iconic revenge dress,
that such pronouncements are purely an exaggeration.
Diana had planned to wear a Valentino gown to the Vanity Fair hosted event. But when details leaked, she abandoned it. Instead, she reached for a dress she had owned for 3 years, always considered too daring, until that night. Her stylist, Anna Harvey, summed it up perfectly. She wanted to look $1 million, and she did. Designer Stambolian later likened Diana's choice to a black swan, embracing Odil's fierce grace instead of Odette's innocent white. But if you thought Diana's revenge dress was the only daring dress she has worn, wait till you see her Dior dress. Stunning in Dior. It was Diana's first and only Met Gala, and she made it unforgettable. On December 9, 1996, the Costume Institute hosted a gala honoring Christian Dior's legacy, and Diana arrived not just as royalty, but as fashion's newest disruptor. She walked in alongside her friend Liz Tilburis, wearing an inky midnight blue slip dress by John Galliano for Dior. Its lingerie-inspired lines turned heads before she had even taken her first step. The look turned heads. And it caused tongues to wag, especially since her divorce from Prince Charles was still fresh. This outfit was Diana staking her claim, carving out a new identity for herself. Galliano, fresh off his Dior debut, had designed something both poetic and daring. Silk cut on the bias, trimmed with black lace, a dream and a statement all at once. But there was a twist. The gown came with a built-in corset, the standard rulebook of couture. Diana tossed that script aside. Moments before her arrival, she ripped the corset out, a move that left Galliano utterly shocked. She didn't want constraints. She wanted liberation. And that freedom extended beyond fashion. It was in the way she moved, laughed, and treated everyone around her. Which of Lady Diana's looks is still your favorite today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the next video shown on your screen. You won't want to miss it.